Good evening. It's 7 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the minutes reflect that all board members are present. Sorry to see and hear that Dr. Hartzler was called away for a family medical situation, but all is under control, and we wish him a good return back, hopefully tomorrow. Adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Move for approval.
Move to adopt as proposed.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. Consent agenda. All of the following items, those items of a routine nature normally approved at board meetings, will be approved by one vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. Items A through U.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Information reports. Do we have anyone for USPA? UCTA, Ms. Gunter.
Hi, President Kinnear and members of the board. UCTA's Legislative Committee is continuing our work on Get Out the Vote with OEA. We're encouraging everyone to reach out to 5 people, just pick 5 people and make sure they're registered and have a plan to go vote. And as we're coming to the end of the first quarter, we're wrapping up fall conferences and looking forward to fall break.
Very good, thank you. Hearings and correspondence. Are there any communications we need to make note of? Opportunity for comments from the audience regarding the agenda, I believe. No? Okay. Item C, public hearing for the purpose of public comment and discussion on financial matters, including past and future expenditures of the district, in accordance with Senate Bill 1094 of the 1994 legislative session. Since no one signed up to speak on the agenda, then no further action on this one. Business agenda. Instruction, consider and take action on the proposed revisions to Board Policy Number 1975, use of multiple occupancy restrooms and changing areas. Mr. Federline.
Good evening, President Kinnear, members of the board. If you'll recall, we added Board Policy 1975 back in August in response to Senate Bill 615, known as the Restroom Bill. We are bringing this revision to you tonight to stay in compliance with that law under advice from our attorney and to stay in compliance with the emergency rules passed by the State Board of Education in late August of this year. Just in short, the board policy will ensure that all of our multiple occupancy restrooms are clearly marked male or female, that if someone does not want to use that, we will provide a reasonable accommodation in the form of a single occupancy restroom, which we do, and that there is discipline and a way to hold people accountable who refuse to do so, which we do have under various other board policies. So asking you to consider and take action on this policy tonight. And if you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions, discussion, comments?
So so this is almost completely in response to the state board's guidelines that they set up?
Correct.
Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Romerman,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Dr. McNeil,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Consider and take action on the recommended updated safe return and continuity of services plan for the 2022-2023 school year. Mr. Bushyhead.
Yes, President Kinnear, Board, this is just an update. We found as we were going through some documents that some of the information was confusing, what was coming from Human Resources and what was in our plan, so we cleaned up our plan, try to reflect the latest updates on the COVID protocol. Again, this is required by us to bring this to the board for approval in relation to the ESSER funds that we received. So asking that you approve the updates. Most of it is the return plan when folks can come, but we do also have within that plan the option to change and update it as we've had the opportunity to do quite often. So asking that you approve this update.
Is there a timeline on the ESSER requirements?
I asked that question today. I think it's as long as we are receiving the funds, we will be bringing you possible updates, at least on a, I think it's semi-annual basis. Is that right, Sherry?
It's every 6 months.
Yeah.
Before when we make a change. And
Right.
it'll run through 2024 when we finish with the ESSER funds.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second?
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Ms. Romerman.
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Dr. McNeil.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action to approve the capacity levels and the calculated open transfer capacity amounts as recommended. Dr. Nelson.
Yes, President Kinnear, this is our quarterly presentation and for approval of the capacity levels. Our capacity levels are unchanged in terms of elementary and secondary by grade level. The numbers, I gave you an update on that, and actually since the updated numbers that I gave you on our transfer capacity, we've enrolled 21 students, so even recently. Just to give you a little bit of a report on that, we've admitted 66 transfer students since school started. That's a total now since the whole process began last January of 344 students that are transfers from out of district that are not children of employees in our district. We have an additional 311 transfer students that are children of employees in the district for a total of 655 right now. So about half of those out-of-district transfers are students that moved out of the district during the year last year and that we've been able to retain. They requested to remain union students and we rolled them forward. So gives you a little background on that. Any other questions? Are there any questions?
Move for approval?
Second.
Ms. Romerman.
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Dr. McNeil.
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you.
Under school operations, consider and take action on the award of various baked goods and associated blanket purchase orders for same and additional blanket purchase orders for additional foods. Mr.
Yes,
Bushyhead.
yes, Board, we have 3 items really separated here. We have our fresh fruit and vegetable grant through all the Frontier produce that goes to all our elementary schools. Springfield Grocers, which provide us a lot of our food items, including a lot of our breakfast items. And then you have a new vendor on here, Bake Crafters. As with a lot of things, Lisa's having a difficult time finding certain items, so we've not been able to get pancakes or waffles, and this is a new vendor for us, so we're asking for this approval also for our child nutrition department. So I ask that you vote and approve these purchase orders.
Move for approval?
Second.
Dr. McNeil.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Ms. Romerman.
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Consider and take action on the proposal for redistricting of board member zone boundaries. Mr.
Yes,
Bushyhead.
President Kinnear and Board, as required by state statute, after a census, we're required to make sure that we don't have more than a 10% variance in population between the lowest populated board zone and the highest populated board zone. So I work with NCOG. They have a lot of mapping capabilities that they look at our options and try to make sure that we are meeting that requirement. And they presented us with three options that they felt were viable. I took those three options to our long-range planning committee. They looked at them, reviewed them. We had a discussion about the board zones, and the decision was to actually recommend Plan 3 with a possible adjustment. And so I got back in contact with NCOG, and basically what happened is you have a copy of the new board zone maps. So what this does is it realigns or redistrict what board zones we have so that there is a fairly equal population, again, no greater than a 10% deviation between the lowest and the highest. And we're bringing this to you. We tried to keep, the big question at the Long Range Planning Committee was Lancaster and Bretton Woods was separated, and if you've been through that neighborhood, the only way you know you go from one to another is it goes from concrete to asphalt. And so we thought it would be a little bit of an easier demarcation if we took Glade Crossing, which is the neighborhood on the southeast corner of that square mile, 71st and 129th corner, and put that in Zone 1 to get that deviation to a point that we were within the guidelines. I think the overall deviation is 5.4%, so we're in pretty good shape in comparison to the 10%. This is required every 10 years with every 10-year census. We were given an additional year to look into this due to COVID and some of the data reporting and the delays in that. So this is coming from the Long Range Planning Committee and their recommendation from what we called Plan 3A. So happy to take any questions or.
Yeah, I'll make some comments here, and certainly want to hear all discussion and questions. Mr. Reyes and I had the opportunity to sit in on the discussion of the Long Range Planning Committee. I think what they came away with out of all the recommendations was some pretty clean boundary lines. This is probably the most, I would say, pristine in terms of form and structure that it's been in quite some time, albeit the one exception being in Zone 1, where regardless of which option they went with, there was going to be a bit of a, I'm going to call section where it infringed upon what would otherwise been in Zone 2. But that was done simply because of making the numbers work within the deviation. What was critical in all of this is there was no zoning of any of us out of a job, out of a position. So all of us retain our board zones, even if it looks a little bit different than it did previously. With that in mind, though, certainly want to open it up to questions or comments.
Do you know what the population change was over the past decade?
I do not know. I can tell you that our population in our district on the 2020 census was 87,532.
I know, that's right here.
So I would have to go and look at what the 2010. I did not do that. I know that our deviant, the difference between the low and the high was 19.9% prior to this, so there was required. Again, ideally you don't have to do this, but because we were over that 10%, it is a requirement by law.
State that deviation again. Mr.
It was
Richard.
19.9% originally.
Yeah, basically it
Was
was
that
20%.
from 1 and 2, just like here?
It was between Zone 4 and 3, I do believe.
Okay.
And the interesting way the math works on this, that 20% variant, it was basically a 10% negative variant for one zone, I think, and a positive 10% variant for another.
Yeah.
Regardless if those numbers are correct, it was the absolute value of the negative, the absolute value of the positive, that not only breached 10%, but reached 20%.
Interesting.
Again, you try to keep the territory compact. You guys, I sent you some notes from some of the writing of the law and also from NCOG. you don't want to get crazy with where the lines are and try to split up neighborhoods if possible. You like to use major highways or roads, even railroads, so forth, that demarcate the space, so it's a little easier to identify where you're at. There is always a concern about splitting voting precincts, but actually, we were already splitting, I'm thinking 6 before, and so we've reduced that. So by that is a concern, but really it's not possible the way that our geography is and the way that the precincts are laid out, not to split a precinct. And by that I mean they may be voting for Zone 1 board member, part of the folks 1 year, and then the next year Zone 2, so.
There will still be crossovers of various board members having a school residing within your zone that another board member has pupils going as well. But I believe this version minimizes that compared to certainly where we were and certainly compared to all the options that were put forth.
Honestly, the craziest deviations in here are where we hit different districts.
Or what now?
Where we hit different districts, like that literal backyard space with Jinx
Oh,
and so forth.
yeah.
Move for approval.
Any other comments, questions?
I'm just glad Joey gets to walk a little bit more than I do. But second otherwise.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Dr. McNeil,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams.
Yes.
Ms. Romerman.
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Under Finance, consider and take action on payment to the County of Tulsa Office of the County Assessor for the annual visual inspection fee in the total amount of $222,137.44 payable from the 2022-2023 general fund. Dr. Williams.
Good evening, Mr. Kinnear and members of the board. Under Oklahoma law, school districts as well as other taxing entities that receive property taxes are required to pay a portion of what's called the visual inspection budget. This is the budget that the county has approved by the excise board to conduct their annual visual inspection program of properties within Tulsa County. As you can see, there is a certain portion of Tulsa County that is slated for visual inspection, residential and commercial, that actually does fall within our school district, the northern part of our school district. This total budget of $2.9 million is allocated out based on property valuation and millage rates among all the taxing entities. So the district's portion is about $222,137. We are required to pay this by December 31st, and I can assure the board that we pay this right as we walk out the door in December. Be glad to answer any questions.
Comments, questions, motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Romerman,
Yes.
Ms. McAdams,
Yes.
Dr. McNeil.
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Why is this one so grumpy to pay?
Chair votes yes, all right. New business, any new business? Opportunity for comments from the audience and board members. I believe we have some folks who have signed up. I will go ahead and read the rules for this. Go ahead and make your way to the podium. The rules for this section of the agenda are as follows. Speakers should identify themselves. Each speaker is given a maximum of 3 minutes. Total time allocated to this item is 30 minutes. Under Board Policy 1800, the Board of Education President has the discretion to determine if topics are relevant enough to be heard and to establish the order of presentations. This includes the right to interrupt this section and move on to the next item. Having said that, it would be my desire not to push the 3-minute button and have it go off. So if you all will limit that to 3 minutes, we'll respect that. And if you will, please just tell us why you're here to speak.
President Kinnear, board members, I'm Major Turner, the Air Force Junior ROTC Senior Instructor here at Union. I'm here today to speak about the upcoming bond vote and let you know about our need for facilities, for dedicated facilities in our program. This need is based on required curriculum and training for competition as well. We're not looking for a shared use facility, and I'll try to explain why in this short time here. In 2000, this board elected to establish the Air Force Junior ROTC program. We stood up in 2002 and have represented Union for 20 years now. A few of you may think that we're just a club organization. We are not a club. Our mission is to develop citizens of character dedicated to serving the nation and our community. Serve your community. It's not to recruit students for the military. I'll leave that to the recruiters. My goal, like yours, is to watch all of our students graduate on time and walk that stage. That's what I want to see. And collectively, with all of us, I think we've done a great job of that. We have curriculum that we're required to teach consisting of aerospace science, leadership studies, drill, and physical fitness. Is this curriculum that requires dedicated facilities. However, JROT incorporates a lot more than just that. We also have classroom instruction, but we don't have facilities to do this, not to compete at the highest levels for state and national events. Now, we compete, but we can do better. A dedicated facility with classrooms, physical fitness space, marksmanship range, and storage is what we need. As you know, we're spread between the UFA and the high school. This is very inefficient, and there's no place for us to really call home. With Union's resources, we shouldn't have to compete for space. I will say Emily Barkley, I don't see her in here tonight, but it's been very accommodating and helping us with space, and I want to say thank you to her for that. A few things for your consideration of the subject, though, is that 9th through 12th grade, boys and girls combined in sports, we have 61 combined enrolled in baseball and softball, 53 students in tennis, 24 in golf, 130 in soccer, 83 in wrestling, 33 in swimming, and 42 in volleyball. What do these things have in common, though? They all have dedicated facilities to help them get better, to help them compete, to do things. But they don't have a required curriculum. When's the last time we saw someone have to teach baseball in 4th hour or 5th hour, or any hour for that matter, or any of our sports? For ROTC, we have 117 cadets, but we do have a required curriculum that we have to teach, but we don't have dedicated facilities. That's what I'm asking you for today. Bottom line is that we're not looking for shared use facilities. We're a year-round program. We're here in the summer. We're here during the breaks. We don't have dedicated season for our events. We're always practicing for multiple events, which is why we're not looking for a shared use facility. Drill and fitness is one of the areas requirements according to the signed memorandum of agreement between Union and the Air Force. We need your support for dedicated facilities. So please add us to the upcoming bond vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Dan Snow. I'm the second instructor for ROTC. The major asked me to step up here as the resident historian since I've been here forever. I actually helped start the program with Colonel McCool back in 2002. My first time I stood before this board, we were asked to present colors in October of 2002. With less than 6 weeks of training with my cadets, we presented colors. And wanting to show my cadets off like I always do, I asked if we could do a short drill presentation. We did a 2.5-minute drill presentation with 5 scared cadets with literally rifles that were made from dowel rods and wooden stocks that I bought at a gun show and taped up with electrical tape. They struggled through that 2.5-minute performance with just 6 weeks of training. Now, fast forward to 2007. A lot of drill competitions later, a lot of confidence later, and thankfully our drill rifles, courtesy of this board, we were recruited by TU to not only present colors at the TU Navy game, but present a halftime show. We did a 12-minute, totally memorized, silent drill routine with M1 Garand rifles that would water your eyes and brought the house down. Our cadets were mobbed by the midshipmen of Navy because they understood the amount of time and effort and training it took to pull off a 12-minute routine like that, totally silent, no commands, totally memorized. That's the kind of stuff we've been doing for 20 years. Your cadets at ROTC performed their own play for 3 years, from 2008 to 2009 and 2010, during the darkest times of the Iraq War. We wrote that play, we trained, and we presented it. It was called A Soldier's Christmas. We invited the members of the 138th's deployed families and veterans in our elementary schools. We did that 3 nights during the month of December, 3 years in a row. We marched in 2 inauguration parades. No ROTC unit of any service in the history of ROTC has ever marched in 2 presidential inauguration parades. Union did so, okay? We hosted the largest ever commemoration of the 9/11 events in Oklahoma. 50,000 people visited the Union Central Park. Our cadets spent 2 years planning that and executed that flawlessly. 7 days of remembrance for the 9/11 attacks. Vietnam Wall here, Vietnam veterans crying at the wall. It was a fantastic event. We have done our best to represent Union the best way that we can. We have been named Outstanding Unit a total of 6 times. We've been in the top 10% of Air Force ROTC 10 times. We did in 2018, we did an all-time record, 6,800 hours of community service in 2018, setting a record for us and earning us our 4th Outstanding Service Award, Silver Star Award. Our cadets go above and beyond every way they can. I turn on the lights at the 9th grade center, and I've done so for 20 years because our only time we can find drill space is 6 a.m. in the morning. We bought with our own money, because you guys did a great job putting a new floor, we bought with our own money sandbags so that we can do PT and not worry about scuffing the floor by using dumbbells on the PT field. So I just wanted to provide that history. We have been doing everything we can to represent Union properly, and we would just like an opportunity to get on that bond issue and let our kids know that they're appreciated. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
I did my best to teach Bill Bell.
President and Board, thank you so much for the time. My name is Kathy Clark. I'm a resident of Tulsa and have been proudly for the past 6 years. I'm also a veteran. And I come here this evening on behalf of the ROTC. Trying to follow those 2 gentlemen is going to be a hard one. I'm not quite sure what else needs to be said, outside the fact that as a Tulsa citizen, as a veteran, the mere fact that our ROTC program does not have a dedicated facility, point blank, is an embarrassment more than anything. I look around at this audience. How many of you have veterans that are either in your immediate family or an extended family, a neighbor, etc.? Every single one of those veterans, including myself, went to high school. Had I had the wherewithal and the knowledge that there was an ROTC program fit that could have been part of my career, that could have been part of my pathway, I would have jumped on it because I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to be a Navy veteran for as long as I can remember. I implore the Union School District, you are a wealthy school district. You have beautiful facilities here for sports, for arts, for your children, for your students. These students are yelling at the top of their lungs. We are proud to be here. For goodness sake, let's step up, let's find the dollars, let's build them a facility that they don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning to come to drills, although I guarantee you they still will because that's their dedication. The mere fact that they have a history as deep and robust as they do leaves you speechless, leaves me speechless. What will it take? I ask each of you, what will it take for you to recognize the dedication of the ROTC instructors and the other instructors? I am actually proudly married to a Union instructor, one of 16, 17 years. She herself has seen all the students that have come past. Some have already gone on to serve their country. I'm so grateful for them. And gentlemen, thank you for your service as well. Let's get with it, people. This program is not just about veterans. This is about teaching your children the wherewithal, the opportunities, the otherness of a professional career. Not everybody's going to walk out of here and get into sports. Not everybody's going to walk out of here and get into performing arts, but they sure as heck have the opportunity to walk out of here and either go into the military or pursue lawyer, accountant, HVAC, all kinds of things, thanks to the time in the ROTC. And I guarantee it, the 117 students of the ROTC, if they were here, they would come around and ask each of you, what is it that you need them to prove for their validity and the worthiness of having a simple facility where they can just be themselves and not have to go, oh, 6 o'clock, I got to go here. Wait, what time is, oh, wait, I got to run over here to go here. Do your sports people have to do that? They do not. Do your arts folks have to do that? I don't think so. And I appreciate everything and everybody. But as a vet, I am truly asking this district, wake up, realize the gem that you have here, support it, expand it. Their success is tremendous, but they know they could do even more if the students even knew they existed. Seriously, as a citizen, I simply ask you all to really, truly look within when you're thinking about that bond list. And this is my first time at one of these gigs, so probably a little more impassioned than I should be and not necessarily orderly, written. But this is obviously very dear to my heart. I implore as many young beings as I can to consider a service career. It's one of the best experiences I would ever have. And believe me, if they asked me to sign up again, sorry to say this to my wife, I would in a heartbeat. Because there's nothing like being there and giving back to protect each and every person here. Nothing like it. It is, besides motherhood, the hardest job a person will ever have. Please give them the facility that they need to show them that they are worth it, that they're worthy of it in your eyes. If you don't, I'll be back again. I appreciate your time. Thank you very kindly.
Very good. Thank you all, and thank you for your attention to the time. Very much appreciated. Any comments from board members? Okay, with that, yes, Ms. Calvin. Thank you. No. Absolutely. Wherever you prefer.
Okay. Leadership Union, we have another great group this year. In fact, we have 28 members. And of those members, we have 5 support employees and 22 teachers. So one of the requirements is to attend one of our board meetings. So I would like to introduce the 5 individuals that are here this evening. And when I call your name, if you will stand up, you don't have to give a speech. I'm going to introduce you. So just stand up so that the board can see that you are interested in leadership at Union. Ashley Brown from Rosa Parks. Fatme El Nadaf from Grove. Luther Carr from the high school. Jason Crow from the high school. And Kristen Simpson from Aspire. Rosa Parks. Okay.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Calvin, for bringing that to our attention. Mr. Bushyhead? Mr. Federline?
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Very good. All right. Well, with that in mind, I believe the next thing on our list is executive session. I need a motion and vote pursuant to Oklahoma Statute Title 25, Section 307B11, to go into executive session to discuss terrorism safety issues.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Romerman?
Yes.
Ms. McAdams?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. We're now in executive session.